Hey, I'm hoping this will work. I am laying on my floor. I wanted to share something with you all. I kind of shared this with one of my girls the other week, and since then I've also found more things. And I wanted to share some things that I have been reading lately. Been listening to a lot of Charlotte Scenes lately, and she is a very strong believer in personal growth and affirmations, transforming your mind. It's not new agey, it is biblical, and I really am believing that. I was reading through James again today, and I was starting out in chapter 4, and like I said, I was sharing with a girl the other week about James 3, talking about the untamable tongue. And so often we take that as what we say, this physical tongue. But when I reread this the other week, it hit me like a ton of bricks on my forehead that I don't believe, honestly, that is talking about this physical tongue. And I'm going to read quite a bit here and hopefully point some things out to you. And just with this personal growth journey we are on, hopefully to encourage you. So James 3, and I will jump around a little bit, but it's pretty much being James. And I'll start in verse 2. And it says, "For we all stumble in many things. If anyone does not stumble in word, he is a perfect man, able to bridle the whole body." Okay, when I read this, all the numerous times I have and have my Bible totally written, highlighted, word, I was always thinking this. But thinking, changing, retransforming our mind, those are all words. What words are we telling ourselves? What thoughts are we thinking? What word are we reading and calculating in our minds? He does not stumble in word. He is able to control his entire body. And when I read that the other day, it was like, bang. I believe that is the word in our mind. What words are in our mind? So on to verse 3. He is a perfect man, able also to bridle the whole body. Indeed, we put bits in horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn their whole body. Look also at ships. Although they are so large and are driven by fierce winds, they are turned by a very small rudder wherever the pilot desires. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. See how great a forest a little fire kindles? See how great a forest a little fire kindles. If that is not your thinking, I truly don't know what is. Because your little thoughts up here that are all filed away, that happen to pop up here and there throughout your days, throughout your weeks, whatever you're dealing with, those little words that you're going through. Sometimes those littlest things can just flame your brain. It just catches stuff on fire in there, which affects the rest of your body. The tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. The tongue is so set among our members that it defiles the whole body. Now, in verse 2, it said, if he does not stumble inward, he is a perfect man. And now in verse 6, the tongue is set among our members that it defiles the whole body. Your mind and your thoughts, your words, the words in your mind can defile you or make you a perfect man. And again, perfect through Christ and his word, the washing of his word. But this really changed my thinking the other day. And it sets on fire the course of nature. And it is set on fire by hell. And when I read that again, the verse, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, any good thought, any good thing, any promise that God has given you, and just his word that he wants you to soak in and absorb and meditate on, Satan is going to try with everything he can to steal that from you. He does not want you believing it. He does not want you trusting it. It's set on fire by hell, which will defile you. That really, really hit me the other day. For every kind of beast and bird or reptile and creature is tamed and has been tamed by mankind, but no man can tame the tongue. It is unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Deadly poison can be slow or it could be fast. Can make you puke or just kill you. It's unruly evil, full of deadly poison. With it we bless our God and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the similitude of God. This really stood out to me the other day because, you know, you can have some controversy with people talking about, I don't like saying this, but we are to be Christ-like. We are to be little Christs. And that's what we are called to be. People can kind of take it in the wrong way when you say things like that. But I believe it's true. He made us in his similitude. We are to be similar to him. We are to get our power, our being, our who we are from him. And we can, because he's given it to us when we are his. Out of the same mouth proceeds blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be so. Does a spring, this is what really caught me with your mind and your thoughts. We have a little visitor. Does a spring send forth water and bitter from the same opening? What is a spring? It comes from the inside of the earth, and it just flows. It bursts open. Your heart. I really believe that it's just a picture, a visual of this. Can a fig tree, my brethren, bring forth olives, or a grapevine bear figs? Thus no spring yields both salt water and fresh. Our minds cannot think both positive and negative at the same time. God's blessing and Satan's stealing manipulative thoughts at the same time. It cannot be. It can't happen. He who is wise and understanding among you, let him show by good conduct that his works are done in the meekness of wisdom. And skipping down to verse 15. This wisdom does not descend from above. It's talking about self-seeking in your hearts, but is earthly, sensual, and demonic. That really stood out to me as well. Demonic. For where envy and self-seeking exist, confusion and every evil thing are there. One of the worst things. Go in your room. Okay, I think we're here. Had to get the little boy taken care of. So, confusion and every evil thing are there. One of the hardest things I'm dealing with lately, personally, is feeling that. The positive, the negative, what God thinks of me, what others think of me, which really, who cares? But we give that time of day to those negative thoughts, and it can pick at us and just irritate us, and we are torn. We are just torn and driven and conflicted. And when I read that, it is a demonic thing. And it's self-seeking. And it caused confusion, and every evil thing is there. But the wisdom that is from above, listen to this. The wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, peaceable, not conflicting, not pulling on each other, trying to figure it out. It's peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits without partiality. Without partiality. The gifts from above are without partiality. He doesn't give more to one person and less to another. He sees us all. When we ask him, he will give freely and abundantly to us. We need to understand that. And without hypocrisy. Do I need to work on a lot of those things I just read? Absolutely. I'm not going to lie and say I have it all down, because I do not. Especially the part about being gentle and merciful. I need to work on these with my children. But when I read this the other day, it just floored me. I was just, man, it hit me. This is our mind. I believe when the Lord had people write these down for our benefit and everyone before us and after us, there is more to this than what even the writers may have understood at that point. I do believe at times. And I think just as the Lord leads us, different things come across, and, he'll show us different things at different times. But the other day, this just hit me. So today I started reading in chapter 4, and I'll truly try not to be much longer. But it goes into, let's start at verse 8. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, you double-minded. I know a lot of notes and things do say that double-mindedness in this is tied to unbelievers. But I believe it can also look double-minded. Just like I said, you can be negative, positive, think of God's blessings, think of what people think of you, double-minded, and you're confused and tossed, and you're like, Lord, help me. And purify your hearts, you double-minded. And again, it's a thought thing. It is the words in our mind. We need to purify them. Purifying them will help take care of that double-mindedness. What does he think of us? What does he want us to think of us? The other day, when I was listening to the Charlotte Sims call, I took 5-page notes of this one call she did. And the one that she mentioned was, she says, I don't believe 1 minute that God's up there saying, oh, I hope they don't get past silver ranking. She says, I don't see that being our God at all. And I thought, that's so true. We are the ones who hinder ourselves. We're the ones who, I don't want to say massacre ourselves, but block ourselves because of our own self-pride, honestly. Getting over ourselves. We can't get over ourselves. Everything we've been taught and thought is in these boxes, and I really think we need to just let go and release so much of what we have brought and grown up. Not that everything's bad, but just truly transforming our mind. But so when I was looking at the double-mindedness, it took me back to James 1, to verse 8, actually verse 7. Well, actually, let's jump up to verse 5. And it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. And he is the giving God. He's going to give it to you. Who gives to all liberally. Another thing that Charlotte had mentioned was, we see these people that are successful and we seem to think there's not enough for us. Who says? There's plenty. Quit bashing ourselves. Quit thinking negative about everything. Where we're ranking, where we're at in our spiritual growth, where everything. He gives to all liberally. And without showing partiality, he doesn't matter who it is. He wants us to ask him. Without reproach, and it will be given him. But this is where it was, again, verse 6. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting. No doubting. No second guesses. No, but maybe I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Maybe I still need to work on this. No doubting. And I looked up the definition for doubting because I was just curious. To be undecided or skeptical, to tend to disbelief. Disbelief in what? In this sense, disbelief in God? No, it couldn't be that. We're saved. But honestly, that's how, like it said, the double-minded man was considered an unsaved man here in this passage by a lot of the notes and stuff. No doubting. And distrust is another term for doubting. Distrust God. We don't want to think that of ourselves, but I think it comes across that way, and it's another area we need to work on. For he who doubts is like a wave in the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. This doesn't sound like a double-minded man, and how easily we can get torn in between these things. For let not that man suppose he will receive anything from the Lord. Let not that man, the double-minded, doubting man, don't let him suppose he will receive anything. This was hitting me really hard because I'll be honest with y'all. No kid noise. I've been praying for some things lately, and I have been like, Lord, I'm praying. What am I missing? I don't feel like you're showing me where you want me to go or directing in lots of areas, not just Plexus. Plexus is a main one, but just in life and with our kids and other areas, me, myself. And I just feel like it's like this wilderness and there's no light. It's like, Lord, what do you want of me? Okay, kid interruption again. I shall be done here. Let not that man think he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. And again, it just went back to me and my mind, and then you're thinking what's in your heart, what you let dwell there. And it just was really eye-opening to me that I do believe transforming and renewing our mind is a very, very biblical thing. And I think, again, I've shared this with a friend or two, but I've been watching Dr. Quinn lately. And in there, they have the Indians in their spirit world. Do I believe in those types of spirits? No, I don't. But I do believe there is a spirit world. And I believe that we as Christians have kind of hunched back, or even maybe in ways afraid to talk about those things, and people in the world have twisted it and corrupted it. And we Christians just don't talk about those things, but I think they're important because I do think I'm in Daniel. I've been reading in Daniel, and in Daniel chapter 10, and make sure I'm recording. It's talking about when he had prayed, and the man said to him, "Do not fear, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand, and to humble yourself, your words were heard." I know this is prayer, but I want you to hear this. Your words were heard. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me. If this is not a demonic thing, as we talked about in James, I was just like, whoa. Prayer and our thoughts and what we talk and say to ourselves, I truly do believe that there is a correlation between them all. And I do. And I'm not saying this in a weird way. I'm just, as I'm reading the Bible and seeing this, I believe it's something that we as Christians need to acknowledge and be aware of. And it said, he withstood me 21 days. So in this time with me, I feel like, Lord, I'm praying, and I'm not hearing you. Why don't I see anything? Sometimes I'm thinking, is this what's going on? You know, what's really going on out there? I read The Circle Maker a while back. It is a very good book. I was leery of it, I'll be honest. There are some things in there that I did kind of skim over. Wasn't real, you know, I prayed for discernment when I read it. But there were some really good things in there. One thing that he mentioned in there is our prayer, we only see this sphere, this earthly sphere. But our prayers go beyond that earthly sphere into that spiritual up. It exceeds this sphere. And I don't think we always realize that. We just don't always comprehend that. At least I didn't. It was just something that it was like, well, it's just, I don't know. When he said it that way, it's like it transcends what we know. Prayer does. Talking to the Lord. It goes beyond where we are, is what it was. And it just really was like, wow. And then I have to finish with this. But he came to help him, and this is still Daniel. For I had been left alone there, the king of Persia. Now I've come to make you understand. You have come to make him understand. And I know that this is kind of talking about prophecy and stuff. But then Daniel says, I turned my face toward the ground and became speechless. I believe he's praying, you know. And then the man touched me. I was so overwhelmed, and okay, so the likeness of a man touched me, and this is what he said. I have circled this in red, and he touched him and strengthened him, and he said, "Oh man, greatly beloved, greatly beloved." That was the first thing he told him. You're greatly beloved. You're beloved. It was a reminder to me. That's how he looks at me. That's how he looks at you. You're greatly beloved. Fear not. Peace to you. Be strong. Yes, be strong. And then Christ, portrayed as Christ here. Now, let me return to fight with the Prince of Persia. To fight with the Prince of Persia. And I just kept, just that struggle sometimes in our thinking. And I don't know, all this was just a real parallel to me, and just an eye-opening thing to me, that it's real stuff. And I think we really, truly need to be careful and be intentional about renewing our mind, transforming our mind with this, the Bible. And yes, spiritual growth books are good. They help us to see things, but through His Word. And I'm telling you, the more I'm aware of this, because of those books, but being more aware of it and understanding it a little more, I'm telling you, this is not easy for me. I am going right through this journey. I do not have this down. I am still working. I need to do my affirmations more. So it affects it, because it does affect every area of our life. And I know that. And I don't know. That has been on my heart a lot lately. And I know this is really long, and some of you may not even watch it. If you did, bravos to you. This is more so I can go back and watch it later and think, wow, I learned something. But I just wanted to share with you, I guess, just the importance of watching your tongue, because it is a fire. And it is like a spring that springs out. And is it good or bad? What are we telling and thinking to ourselves? And truly, 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 and I just read another verse. I need to find it. I'm not going to end the recording because I want to find it. Just that we need to be careful what we think. Because as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And I do believe that's what that verse means. It says it just like that. And I just want to encourage you. Hopefully it encouraged you. But I'm going to pause this for a minute and try to find that verse to end with. Okay. Last part here.
I went back to Isaiah. I've just been jumping all over my Bible. And Isaiah, and this is chapter 55 and verse 2. And I just want to throw this out there. I'm telling you, the more you read your Bible, the more you're going to realize words like thoughts, your ways, your words, your tongue, mind, heart, all those things related to your insides that are tied together. You will be amazed how much the Bible talks about it. So verse 2, let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Why would an unrighteous man forsake his thoughts? Perhaps because it affects his way. Just really just like plain bang, the Lord knew what he was doing. But so verse 55 in chapter Isaiah 55, 8 and 9. Again, verses we hear over and over. But I read it and it just sank into me the other day. For my thoughts are not your thoughts. Get out of the box of thinking things that we think, well, maybe that's self-righteous, or maybe that's prideful, or maybe, maybe why would someone else think about that? My thoughts are not your thoughts. Just let it sink in. Nor are my ways your ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. We cannot in any way even try to comprehend and understand all the thoughts that he thinks toward us. We can't. But those thoughts that he has toward us are what he wants us to think. Are we calculating that? I was just mind blown when I was reading through this. And I know there was more verses. I know it was. But I just wanted to share that. Like I said, it's been on my heart over and over. But just as a reminder, my thoughts are not your thoughts. Are my ways higher? Are my ways your ways? As high as the heavens are above the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. And I guess I just want to challenge y'all to really think on what his thoughts are toward us, for us, and even those around us. I'll be honest, I listened to the Sonia Dudley call the other night, and she talked about the arrow in the rear end, and I'm telling you, it wasn't the next day. I got one, and it was one of the most major ones I've had. And I'm still getting over that. But it's very interesting to me how these things are brought up right at that time, because I very easily turn to, she ain't afraid to tell me what she thinks of me. But I really am seeing how the Lord is working, because you know what? It doesn't matter what she thinks of me. But another thing that I'm learning is the Lord is working on me. How am I reacting to her? How is my thoughts? How am I going to take captive every thought to his obedience? How am I going to do that? And again, in other areas that we're dealing with in our lives right now, I just believe it is something that just to encourage y'all to work on. And like I said, as you're reading your Bible, just really pay attention to those words, your thoughts, your mind, your heart, words. Just be really, I've been circling them and underlining them, all highlighting, just to, hopefully it was an encouragement to you. I know I babble so much in these things, but it's just things that I have dealt with. So the last verse that in Isaiah 55, and at the end of verse 13, it says, and it shall be to the Lord for a name. It's for his name. And I underlined and highlighted that too. All that he is doing in us and working in us is for him, his glory. And he is choosing to use us. And we need to be pliable and workable and tear off all those layers of self. And again, Charlotte said, you dig deep. She said, Plexus is just a tool that you dig deep and get yourself out. And it's like, man, it's so true. So that is all for today. And I spent much longer than I thought. But I will talk to you later.